The long-awaited and delayed stat revamp is finally upon us. In today's video, we'll be going through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Buckle your seatbelts, grab some popcorn because today's video is going to be a long one. How's it going, guys? I'm your host Korriban Gaming. Welcome back to a very special Adventure Quest video, and for today's video we'll be talking about the stat revamp, which is finally going to be here after over a year of delays. Okay, so they actually announced this almost about 2 days ago, and that was, when I was sleeping, and I already had the War Master Dragon Rider review video scheduled for the next day. So I didn't really have time to make a video on this until today, which is what we are going to be looking at. Alright, so the threads has had about 2 days worth or so for people to, evaluate their ideas and give some feedback. These ideas, I want to say they are not 100% confirmed yet. So if you guys have anything that you want to say, please say them now or hold your tongue for the next 10 years, okay? People really should not underestimate, okay, how big of a change this stat revamp is going to be, because stat revamp is not like items, okay? It's a very different thing. It's a very big change. Stat revamp is going to affect the way you play your builds, okay? It's not like a simple item whereby, if it's something bugged, something not good, something that's too good, you can, maybe set some time aside and fix it within a day or two, or maybe like, even with delays, you can fix it like the next year or something like that. For stat revamp, okay, it's usually something that happens only once a decade, aka once every 10 years. The last stat revamp we had was I think it was also about 10 years ago, and this game is only 20 years old. So if you want to wait for more changes once this comes out, it'll probably be another 10 years, or at least any major changes. It'll probably take another 10 years or so. So if you want to say something, now is the perfect time to say it. Whether you support the changes, whether you hate the changes, or if you have ideas of your own, please go ahead and post them in the forums. Okay, that is the best way to get your suggestions seen and heard by all of the staff members, most notably Holo, which is the AQ lead. He's the big boss. He's the guy who can make all of the decisions, and for me personally, I trust him a lot to make the professional decisions that will make most of the player base happy. Now, with that out of the way, let us go ahead and jump right in to see what they have proposed for the changes. Alright, so I'll go through all of them first, and then I'll give my thoughts on them, as well as some other ideas thrown out by other people and the other feedback that has been given. First up, strength. Base behavior changes. Enable warrior lean. Fully defensive armors deal 100% outgoing damage and take 80% incoming damage. This was an idea that they originally proposed, and I think most people are okay with this idea. I'm okay with this idea as well. Next up, style bonus plus 15% to all weapons. Okay, yeah, I said I will give my thoughts after it, right? Okay, screw that. I think it's easier if I give my thoughts while going through the changes, okay? Style bonus plus 15% to all weapon damage. First weapon attack of a battle inflicts choke minus 12.5% damage for 4 turns with no save and a 10-turn cooldown. We may change this to require a melee attack if we find that it tips strength toward only being taken for the bonus and not for melee attacks. Alright, so 15% to all weapon damage. This is huge. It's essentially a free blood blade, and people, notably Tavern, is complaining that, oh no, it's too OP. But this is literally the best thing ever. If your warrior, rejoice, because if these changes go through, like, I think warriors really are getting the best value out of these stat changes this time around. Like, if all of this goes through, like, I have no doubt in my mind that warrior will be heavily favored in the new meta. And warrior is, I would say, already pretty popular in the current meta, but this will really just shoot them up to the next level. And I think this is a fantastic change. So if you're a warrior, you should be really happy for all of these changes. They are really strong, really good changes, and I love them. I don't think anything needs to be changed. Okay, they are all useful in my opinion. Fully defensive armors, you get to use the benefit of fully defensive armors without having to deal with the downsides, which is reduced damage, you get extra 15% to all damage. That is an insane boost. And last but not least, you also get choke, okay, which means the enemies won't be dealing as much damage to you. It's just nuts. Like, I love this change, and I think many who are playing warriors are probably celebrating, popping champagne right now. Like, oh my god, these are some crazy amazing changes. Okay, the one downside, and this is really me being nitpicky, is warrior backlashes are getting a slight nerf because of this. Okay, because as you can see, the choke effect, no save, 10 turn cooldown, like this is not really good for backlashes because you want to take in as much damage as possible. But backlash is a very niche build, and on top of that, you know, it does require premium items if you really want to make the best use out of it. Of course, you can there are free to play backlash sources available, but then again, I would say if you really want to play backlash, ideally you would be a mage backlasher rather than a warrior backlasher. Nonetheless, this is just a very small thing that I don't think it will affect the playstyle as a whole. Also, this year they are trying to introduce FD warriors into the scene, because FD warriors have never been a thing. Warriors have always traditionally been FO for the past 20 years. Okay, so I think this should make FD warriors pretty desirable, and I think it will make FD warriors even better than FO warriors. Why do I say this? Is because as an FD warrior, you're getting all these benefits, but you're not really getting the downsides of playing as an FD class, which is reduced damage. Okay, that's all removed with this lean, as well as the extra boost to weapon damage. So what I feel the new meta will be sitting inside of a fully defensive armor and using very strong weapon based skills, or like regular attacks. Okay, and we've already seen that with the Winter Warden. Unfortunately, they have not announced any fixes or any changes to that yet, but I hope that again they go ahead and buff it up even more. And I think, you know, fully defensive warriors are really going to be something that a lot of people will look to try out, assuming all of these changes go through. Next up, dexterity. Okay, base behavior changes. Range damage starts at 80%. Whether or not you're using a ranged weapon on a given turn, it increases by 7% per turn until it hits 101%. So you need 3 turns in order to hit 101%, and then an extra 3.5% per turn until turn 20. Okay, so people did the math, and it's about 7 turns or 8 turns to outdo the base damage from warriors. To me, I think that's okay. Like, sure, it's not the best thing in the world, but if you're a ranger build, most of the time you're going to be playing fully defensive. Okay, fully offensive rangers, not really that big of a deal or that big of a thing right now, and it's going to be even worse with these changes, in my opinion, because there's really nothing for fully offensive rangers. Like, this is clearly for fully defensive rangers because of the ramping. Okay, some people are saying the ramping is OP because there's no cap to it. To me, I feel like if you want to play like a 20, a 50 turn, a 100 turn battle, you want to spend 30 minutes on killing a regular mob, then sure, you know, you can get all the extra power. I don't really care. But I think for most people out there, they just want to get the battles over and done with in the shortest amount of time possible. So, you know, the uncapped thing, I really don't think it's a big deal. And one, I would say, thing that they really overlook is that, you know, they don't take actual gameplay time or actual time spent into consideration or into any of their calculations. You're sacrificing actual time, and you know what people say, time is money. Okay, you can use that time to be doing a lot of other things, you know. You could be using it to make videos like me. You could be using it to work on a side hustle. You could be using it to spend time with your family. Instead, you're using that time, okay, as a resource to spend it on playing Adventure Quest. So, you know, that is your cost or your downside of having this unlimited capping, okay? Because you can only enjoy the full effects of like a super powerful regular attack, you know, with this unlimited capping after you spend a long time trying to kill the monster, alright? Next, style bonus, enable BTH lean expertise. The downside of BTH leans is mitigated by up to 25% on all weapon attacks and spells. Example, at plus 20 BTH lean, you normally gain plus 20 BTH and deal 81% damage. With full dexterity, this becomes plus 20 BTH and deal 86% damage. At minus 20 BTH lean, you normally deal 131% damage and take minus 20 BTH. With full dexterity, this becomes 131% damage and take minus 15 BTH. Okay, so it looks like you don't get a damage boost, you just get a BTH. No, wait, hang on. Oh, okay, so they reversed it. Alright, fine. And then you also get +6 blocking. Now, personally, I feel that compared to Warrior, this is very, very lackluster. And Dexterity or Rangers aren't in a very good spot because they really aren't the popular playstyle to go to, okay? Fully defensive Rangers, yes, I think quite a number of people use it and quite a lot of people think it's good. But like I said, the downside is, you know, the actual time that's spent that's not taken into account when, you know, making all these stat changes. You know, actual time spent on the game is not something that you take into account when you balance items and all that kind of stuff, which is understandable, but I feel like it should not be overlooked. Alright, with that said, I do think that Rangers definitely need more or maybe something different. I'll go through some suggestions as well as ideas, okay, later on. Next up, Intellect. Base behavior changes. None. Okay. I personally feel that mages don't need a buff, but we also, at the same time, I also want there to be something useful for mages. Mages are very strong. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, if every build is getting something, you know, it feels bad that as a mage, you're not getting much because you're already strong, right? You just because you're strong doesn't mean you don't deserve something else as well. Maybe not something that directly increases your power, but maybe something that is that gives you some versatility or something that gives you utility. Okay, I think that's what people are looking for with regards to mage and the intellect change this time round. Instead, what we're getting is this Wall Breaker mechanic. So spells pierce enemy elemental resistances and gain blah 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 this formula. So against 90% resist, spells deal extra 5% damage, equivalent of hitting 95% resist. Against 50% resist, spells deal extra 25% damage, equivalent of hitting 62.5% resist. What? Okay, against 10% resistance, spells deal extra 45% damage, equivalent of hitting 14.5% resistance. I'm not sure if these are typos. I'm not really understanding the math here. I think if you plug it into the formula, it will be correct. But look at this. This is garbage. This is freaking garbage. 10% resist, spells deal 14.5% damage. Wow, that's so big. That is amazing. Wow, as if anybody would care for extra 4.5% damage. That is crap. Utter crap. Okay, guys. Why even... is there any reason to be using a regular element spell against enemies with low resistance over something that is harm element? There is zero reason to use a regular element against low resist enemies as opposed to harm. Why would you not use harm? Harm is 90% damage. Flat against everything. Even against 10% resistance mobs, you get 90% instead of this crappy 14.5%. Right? So the one use case that somebody said was multi-element spells getting a bit more usage, and to me, I would say no. Because would you carry a multi-element spell that is going to be super situational, like in this case, or are you going to carry a harm spell that is like more universally useful than all of these combined? It's a no-brainer. I'm still going to be using a harm spell. I am not going to be swapping out to a multi-element spell just because of this. How many enemies in the game have resistances as low as this? And how many enemies in the game, or how many bosses in the game have these sort of resistances whereby using a harm weapon or a harm spell is going to be worse? Okay, I can probably count with one hand. This is literally crap. Okay, it's masked as something that's supposed to be useful, but in reality, this is not useful at all. You would never use this over a harm element item. Like, come on. This needs to be changed completely, okay? Next up, Endurance. Base behavior changes. Enemy only. Reduce health scaling. Okay, this is obviously a very good change for lower level players. Of course, I still do think that, you know, in terms of enemy scaling, everything needs to be changed, not just the health. But I guess this is sort of like a band-aid solution for the lower level players. Honestly, I don't even know how many more returning players there are left, you know, with their spate of crappy change one after another, and on top of that, doing nothing to retain these players. But yeah, now that they are finally having it, about, I would say, almost half a year later since the Josh video came out, better late than never, right? This affects all enemies. So on one hand, it benefits the lower level players, which is a really good thing. On the other hand, for the maxed out players, which is your core player base, I would say this is not really a good change because it makes monsters easier. And I think a lot of endgame players, they are looking for tougher monsters, not easier monsters. Of course, that being said, I hope that, maybe this will get retconned. This will be removed once they finally fix the low level scaling from all of their older quests. And of course, I'm hoping to see more interesting mechanics come to bosses as well. But I think it's not a big deal. Overall, I still think it's beneficial to the game. Okay, this really helps out those at lower levels. Style bonus. Excuse me. These are already part of the game. So really, there's not much change to endurance. The only change to endurance is this enemy side change. Okay, so we have increased status resist and we have increased heal resist. Both of which I kind of question because why would you need more heal resist if you already have more health? Okay, like, do you even need to heal when you have that much HP? Status resist is good, so I guess that's a plus point. But yeah, not much changes to endurance. I don't think any people have anything to say about this. I think everyone's okay with the change, including myself. So moving on, charisma. Oh my god, here is the kicker, guys. This is the one change that I am personally the most unhappy with. Pet and guess accuracy is now based on main stat plus charisma instead of dexterity plus charisma. This is good, but this is literally the only good thing. Okay, because now it's decoupled from dexterity. You don't need to rely on dexterity for your BTH anymore. This is amazing for Beastmaster builds out there who are not a fully defensive Beast Ranger. But here's the bad news, guys. Gas stats adjusted to account for paying a third of the actual cost of their output. Base gas output reduced to 45% melee from 60%. The cost is also increased to 30% melee from 21%. So not only are you getting a reduction in gas power, you're also getting an increase in the upkeep cost. This is a huge nerf to gases, okay? You might not be able to see it now. You might think, oh, it's 15% here, it's 9% here, it's not a big deal. You translate though that 15% and this 9% into actual numbers into the game, the actual amount of SP, the actual amount of extra SP you have to pay, the amount of the lesser amount of damage as well as effect power that you'll be getting, it's huge. I kid you not. Okay, wait until this comes out. You guys are going to be like, oh my god, gases are literally the worst thing ever. Is there even a reason to use them anymore? And today I say probably no if they go ahead with these changes. Okay, style bonus, however, you now gain ferocious strikes, a flat 22.2% chance to have double output, damage, status effects, boosting features, etc. After style bonus, average gas output becomes 55% melee. This is what I do not like, okay? Number one, this is RNG, 22.2% chance. Meaning to say, 22.2% chance of the gas being very good or being complete crap. Okay? 22.2% is a very low chance. And it's even worse for fully offensive builds. Why? Because you're going to end battles so fast that this is hardly ever going to proc. For fully defensive builds, you won't really notice this much because you have more turns in the battle. Thereby, you have a higher chance of seeing the proc happen before the battle ends. But in my opinion, for a fully offensive build, I can foresee that many battles are just going to end without a single ferocious strike proc. And then the question becomes, for fully offensive builds, is it even worth training charisma anymore? And to me, the answer is going to be no. Okay, some people are saying, oh, they are going to release items similar to optical where you can boost this chance. But here's the thing, I don't like to base my expectations of items that have not even been released or even been talked about or conceptualized yet from the staff. Okay, it's a big what if. Okay, if it doesn't happen, you're continuing to get this nonsensical 22% rate. Okay, if it does happen, of course that will be good. But from what I can tell you guys, okay, based off other, discussions I've been hearing about, people want to nerf Lucky Strikes. And Ferocious Strikes, if you ask me, it's basically Lucky Strikes. Okay, if they want to nerf Lucky Strikes, Do you think ferocious strikes will be spared? To that, the answer is no. And if that all goes through, do you think the staff will make an item that will boost this ferocious strike chance? I would say the chance of that happening is very, very low. So people are really overselling or underestimating how big these nerfs are, okay? Instead, what I would propose is your style bonus is worth 20% melee, okay? 15% of that goes back into the power. So the power will be no change. You still get 60% power. And the remaining 5%, you use it to lower the gas upkeep cost. So instead of 30%, it now becomes 25%. So the new change will be no change in gas power, but you get a 4% increase in your gas upkeep cost. From 21%, it becomes 25%. I think those will be very, very reasonable gas changes, and I don't think anybody will complain from just a 4% increase in upkeep cost. But to do this, to reduce the power by 15% as well as increase the upkeep cost by 9%, people are going to riot. I am going to riot, okay? Like, this is absolutely horrible, okay? Like, why would I want to have a 22.2% chance of the gas being very good when if I were to split the 20% melee bonus from the style bonus here and funnel into the base damage output and the base gas cost, it's going to be 100% useful. It's always going to be useful, okay? You do not have to rely on RNG. You do not have to rely on a 22.2% chance of the gas being good. The gas is going to be good 100% of the time, okay? That being said, if they are really adamant on, you know, implementing this ferocious strike idea, some people are saying it will open up design space and all that. To me, I think it's more important that we have something that's practically good as opposed to something that's interesting. The staff can make interesting items. I don't deny that. But, you know, sometimes they like to err on the side of caution a bit too cautiously, in my opinion. Okay, they prefer to make the interesting stuff way, way underpowered. One example was the foul play spell from beating the avian troll. That was something new. That was something interesting. But, you know, it fell flat because it was too weak. Okay, I think the same thing is going to be happening here. People might not see this now, but these are my predictions. People might think, oh, it's interesting, but do you want something interesting or do you want something that's going to be bad for the next 10 years? I'd rather pick something that's uninteresting, but at least I know for a fact it's going to be good for the next 10 years to come. You know, as long as something is bad, I will lose motivation and interest to play the game very fast. I don't know how it is for you guys. If you guys feel the same way, please comment down below as well. Okay, so yeah, these are my like I was saying, if they really want to implement this, then my proposal will be to make it to give guesses a guaranteed ferocious strike on the first action of every battle. So first action of every battle, the first guess that you equip, the first turn, you get a ferocious strike, guaranteed. That way, you know, it will always be useful. You know, at least it's proccing at least once every battle, no matter how fast you end the battle. As long as you take one turn, you know, your guess is going to get a ferocious strike. That will also make it more useful for fully offensive builds. Alright. Last but not least, we have luck. Okay, base behavior changes. Remove bonuses to BTH and blocking. So this was part of the assumption or don't know what not. I'm not really sure. Okay, but instead added a global 5% chance of hitting. Okay, this there's a lot of clarification for this, so I also want to put this out there. This is not reliant on the luck stat at all. So everything in the game now has a 5% chance of hitting, regardless of the blind you inflict, regardless of how much MRM it has, regardless of the level, regardless of anything. Okay, both the player and the monster has a minimum 5% chance of hitting through every single thing. Okay, so this is a nerf to the dodge build, but this is actually a nerf that I'm okay with. 5% is not huge, and on top of that, it also makes items like your mandate spell that will make it more useful because you have choke as well as I believe it's blind inside of that spell. So you know, it now makes sense to double dip into both in that rare chance whereby, you know, the enemy hits through your defenses. So I think this is an okay change. I don't really have any complaints about it. Alright, player only with 250 luck, you can increase this global 5% chance up to 10%. Okay, this does not apply to monsters, but I think this is a horrible change because why would I want a 10% chance of auto hitting? You know, when I can just use an auto hit weapon. If I'm really desperate to hit something, I will use an auto hit weapon. I will not rely on this 10% chance to, oh, maybe I get a lucky hit in once or twice. No, I will not do that. If I really need something to hit, I'll just use something that's auto hit. So to me, this is kind of useless. Style bonus, I think this is the most interesting one. 20% chance per turn to flip one status debuff on the player into a status buff. We don't know the exact details of how this will work yet. Okay, the staff hasn't told us more, but they said that they will clarify soon. Will a dot turn into a hot? Will a stun turn into celerity? I don't really know, but yeah, I think this is the most interesting one out of the lot. I'm excited to see what they'll do for it, and I think this is a pretty decent change. Okay, so detailed breakdown. Warrior Lean is a community suggestion that we thought was perfect for providing a defensive warrior identity without subsuming the fully defensive ranger niche. To answer a frequent question, this will not be the addition of a new lean. Instead, all FD armors will lose their player damage penalty when wielded with melee weapons. Warriors will then deal normal damage with attacks while continuing to take reduced damage. Originally proposed style bonus was of a small boost to all weapon damage was underwhelming. Correct. Absolutely correct. 5% is garbage. Nobody cares about 5%. Okay. You're scaling up to 15%. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what all stats should aim towards. You know, this sort of power is what will make people excited for the stat revamp. This stat revamp happens once every 10 years. You don't want, you know, small little sparks that nobody gives a shit about. You want it to be a big boom that everybody sees it. It'll be like, wow, I am excited for these changes, you know. And this is the warrior, the changes to strength. This is the exact type of thing that will achieve that effect, okay? This should play into strength's core niche while making the stat appealing to hybridize into while getting to have a mix of weapons. The remaining 5% melee value is spent on a guaranteed choke on the first successful attack in order to further solidify the warrior niche of the steady attacker through long bouts without stepping into endurance role. Alright, dexterity. Original iteration of a ramping damage identity was initially negatively received, but testing produced a much more favorable reception once it didn't take so long to achieve parity. The finished version will still ramp up quickly, giving it a strong setup and blast identity that could be leveraged for both offensive and defensive builds. Final values kept out at turn 20 so as to keep from outperforming strength at its own niche. Wait, what? Wait, what? There's a cap? Oh! I misread. Okay, it's not unlimited, so it caps out at turn 20. Okay, I misread. Okay, it will defeat the point of the revamp to reverse the problematic linking of the two stats instead of actually fixing it by giving them two distinct roles. Here's the thing, it's still not exciting, okay, and people are still complaining. The ramp up is still too slow. It takes 7 turns to reach warrior's damage. Like, it's even for a fully defensive build, I think that's kind of slow. Okay, they need to increase the ramp up more, or they need to change this completely. Also, why cap it out at 20? To keep from outperforming strength at its own niche, warriors are not going to take 20 turns. Brother, you are not going to outperform warriors. Okay? Warriors do not take 20 turns in a battle. Warriors will end the battle in, I don't know, I want to say 2 turns max for a regular mob. Maybe 5 or 6 turns max for a boss mob. 20 turns? Hell no. Which warrior is taking 20 turns? I don't know any. Okay? The style bonus allows dexterity to play with a wider range of damage leans, quickly overturning the disadvantages of accurate weapons or doubling down on raw damage with inaccurate ones. Part of it is dedicated to blocking, making dexterity more of a stat that gives a head start to blocking as opposed to the blocking stat. The blocking part, I kind of agree. Okay, I mean, it fits into the whole theme of being dexterous and being able to dodge and all that. So I'm fine with that. I think people are not fine with is the ramping as well as the leans. Okay, the ramping, I think it needs to be even faster than this. Okay, but they also don't want to step on warrior's toes, which I agree with. As for the lean is kinda, I would say, boring, not very exciting. Yeah, it's just not very exciting. Okay, what I have proposed instead is if you're in a fully defensive armor with dexterity trained, you will get a boost to your damage over time effects. Okay, so any dot damage is boosted. This is similar to how Dragon Fable does dexterity, and I think it's a good idea since, you know, fully defensive builds love to play around with dot effects. That's also where most of their damage come from dot effects. So I think this would benefit fully defensive rangers, but at the same time, I feel like fully offensive rangers should also get something, which in their originally proposed change, fully offensive rangers didn't really get anything in my opinion. So what I feel that they could do is each time you have dex train while you're in a fully offensive armor, each skill that you use, okay, each time you use an armor skill, you increase your dexterity stat. So this not only increases your damage, but also your BTH over time, the more times you use your armor skills. And this I feel sets ranger apart enough from mages. Mages have more versatility in the spells that they cast, you know, in terms of effects and all that kind of stuff. But you know, over time, if you really want to build up just raw damage and maybe raw BTH as well, then fully offensive rangers is the way to go. This also ties in a little bit with the idea of going nuclear in the staff's originally proposed suggestion for fully offensive rangers. Not quite the same, but the idea is the same, okay? So that's how I feel that they could have done dexterity a bit better. But of course, this is my suggestion. If you guys have any other ideas on how you think dexterity can be changed to make it more appealing, let me know down in the comments below. No, actually, don't let me know down in the comments below. Let everyone, especially the staff, knows in the discussion thread, okay? Post your ideas there, alright? Okay, intellect. Due to its place as the sole stat with a functional identity, intellect will receive no changes to its base behavior. Fair enough, fair enough. Intellect is at the level quality you want other stats to be at, and very much didn't need any vertical power growth. I agree, I don't think mages or intellect needs a buff. So its style bonus is focused on versatility. However, this is just false because, like I explained earlier, okay, the penetration, wall breaker mechanic, whatever you want to call it, is useless. Okay, just carry harm. Low resistances have a much harder time denying elemental damage from spells. Excuse me, making those pesky tank mobs less of an obstacle to a caster with a diverse toolkit. No. Okay, just no. 10% resist, I'm dealing 14.5% damage to it. That is not making it less of an obstacle. It's an equally annoying obstacle, okay? Like, it's pathetic. What Sapphire suggested was to increase the range from like 90% to all the way up to 130% or 120%. So at least, you know, it'll work a little bit similarly to Revamp, I think. And I think that will make it a bit better, okay, as well as giving a bigger boost at the lower levels. But I still don't think that would make it like great or anything like that. Instead, I would suggest to change this completely into maybe like an extra hit of harm, an extra guaranteed hit of harm after every spell cast, or an RNG chance of void damage, okay, after every spell cast. You know, RNG for void because, you know, void is more powerful than harm. You know, this is playing off the idea of, you know, magic being unstable, mana being unstable, hence the extra hit at the end of a spell. Some other people have also suggested a MP regeneration or a small little MP heal, or you can call it a what do you call that? A kickback, okay, to the MP cost that you use to cast your spell. I think that's also a good idea, okay, and it was also one of the originally proposed ideas by staff. I forgot if I agree or disagree with that idea at that time, but at the time we didn't have this, so yeah, I think that's also something that they could go with, that I'll be okay with. One last idea was to give us a no drop harm spell, okay, so this will mean that we don't have to sacrifice one spell slot just to carry harm in our toolkit, and this will be universally useful and you'll fit in with the whole versatility thing. So that's also something that they could consider. I think Lawkeeper, surprise surprise, was the one who originally came out with this idea, though I don't really remember, but I think Primate Murder was the one who pointed that out. So yeah, they came out with this idea before, but I don't know if it didn't get enough traction or whatnot. But coming back to think about it and comparing it to what they are currently proposing, I think that's a much better idea, you know, giving us a no drop harm spell that we can always use. Next, Endurance. Although it's not as hard of a rule as with Strength, taking away from Endurance's HP value to dedicate it to something else would still require extensive rebalances and risk flipping the stat into an underpowered status. Therefore, this is a difficult stat to make interesting, though we are of course open to feedback on the matter. However, player feedback and low-level testing made it clear that this stat scales way too aggressively at lower levels, so the prior step of this revamp featured a separation of health scaling to address this. If there are any similar problems with other stats, please let us know. Please typo here in the reply. Style bonuses remain the same as the prior iteration. Yeah, I don't think anyone has much to say about endurance. I think it's in a good place. So no changes to that. Charisma. Guessers have always provided several times the power they paid for. Yeah, mathematically on paper, that's the case. But if you look at it in game, I think it's a very balanced thing. Okay, because your SP cost, you also need it for other stuff, upkeeping your miscellaneous items, maybe your shield drives, your some other drives, you know, you might want to use your SP for skills. Yeah, you know, there's so many users for SP. I feel like what they originally did was, you know, letting guessers be a attractive option that you can spend your SP on. Right now, why would I spend my SP on guessers when I can spend the SP on casting skills, on other upkeep? You know, they are basically trying to force us to make a choice here, but I think they are making it a bit too clear cut, because right now I see no reason to spend SP on guessers at all. Alright. As they were originally designed based on a damage and accuracy model that was never implemented, their cost discount was meant to be a decompression bonus for using Beastmaster weapons as part of this model, in which Charisma would have been a main stat and Dexterity a secondary one. Since this old model was never completed and guess costs couldn't be dynamically adjusted, the end result is essentially a spell being cast every turn that only pays part of its actual cost. That really isn't fair to any other build. You can say that, but I will also say it's not really fair to guessers. Okay, if you use a guess in a practical situation, I would say the amount of power you're getting with regards to how much you're paying for, I think it's fair. However, reducing guess powers to what is being paid for would feel awful. Well, glad you know that, but why are you still doing it then? And just increasing the cost would be just as harsh. Exactly, yet they still went ahead with this. The adjustment needed to be split. It was a further way to mitigate the resource cost increase. We sourced the above value adjustment from mixed community feedback in June 2023, and the style bonus is fully dedicated to guess ferocious strikes, so that keeping costs manageable can be part of the stat behavior itself. Community feedback. Yeah, so much for that. Okay, I'll talk more about this later on. Luck, instead of having a mandatory role in accuracy and blocking, Luck now has a unique role in the new accuracy system. Attacks always having a hit chance flaw should address the frequently reported issue that blocking armors are a one and done deal. It was widely recognized that blocking builds could make the game uninteresting by only getting hit by rare auto hit attacks, making them only really need one armor. Now these builds can be catered to with a full sphere of evasive equipment, and Luck allows players to double their own hit chance flaw to increase reliability against dodgy mobs. First part I agree, but like I said, the hit chance flaw increase, I think that is a garbage idea. They need to change that. The style bonus had to be something entirely new so as not to make any one function of a generalist stat overtake others, while not further power creeping lucky strikes in a situation where they can be easily guaranteed. The opposite idea practically wrote itself. Now Luck will give you both lucky strikes and lucky breaks. Lucky strikes, yeah, that's good. Lucky breaks, I don't know how I feel about that. But the style bonus, yep, it's interesting, and I'm excited to see how it would play out in a practical situation. Hit chance flaw, I still feel this could be changed. My suggestion would be status potency for now, but I don't really have like a better idea currently. So if you guys have any ideas for Luck, you know, post it in the forums chat as well. Why changes, blah blah blah, style bonus, all this I'm not going to go through, okay, but yeah, these are all the details of the stat changes. Now let's go through the feedback. Okay, Sapphire unfortunately removed all of his posters from this thread, so he had some good ideas and some interesting points, but since he has removed them, oops, I am unable to point them out anymore, but that is fine. So here's the gist of it, okay. People are complaining Warrior Lean is the boosters that they are giving to strength is too much, and they want to reduce this 15%. I think this is a big mistake, because like I said earlier, you know, stat revamp happens once every 10 years. It needs to be a big boom. Okay, you need to give the players excitement. Okay, reducing it to some puny amount is not going to achieve that. You get a few sparks, but what's the fun of that? Why would you even want to do that? You know, it needs to be interesting, it needs to be exciting, it needs to entice players to want to try out this new thing that you want to that you're constantly trying to push for. Like, you're trying to push for a fully defensive warrior build to be viable, right? That's what it needs. It needs to be powerful right off the bat, so people will be inclined to switch. You know, you can't make it crappy off the bat and then like later on, you know, start to introduce some slightly better items. That's not gonna make people make the switch. You know, if you want people to try out this new idea that you have, it needs to be good, okay? And this is good. Do not change strength. Dexterity, ramp up. Again, same complaints. People are saying, you know, it's OP. People are saying it's not fast enough. So it's very odd that we are getting both sides of the coin in this same thread. Yeah, but overall, I think all of these need a change. It's boring. It's not very exciting. Okay, I will change everything except the style bonus to blocking. So all of these, I think the lean needs to be changed. The ramping also needs to be changed. And maybe they could go along with my suggestion, you know, fully defensive armor, boost dot damage. Fully offensive armor, increase your dexterity stat by a certain amount each time you use a skill. Okay, let me know what you guys think of my suggestion as well. I think it's the best one. Not because I'm the one who came up with it, but because I also feel that people are too, you know, people are too, what's the word for it? Focused on, you know, only having ramp up or having only the lean change. They're not thinking of other things, you know. Every other suggestion I see here with regards to dexterity is talking about how you can change the ramp up, how you can change the lean, but why limit yourself to these? Why limit yourself to these two ideas? Can't it be something completely different? Yeah, I feel like it's just not very exciting no matter how you tweak the numbers. It needs to be something that's completely different. Intellect, like I said, this is a supposedly useful utility change. Okay, but you know, it in reality is really useless as I explained before. Okay, so no reason to use this over harm. The one I'm leaning towards is probably giving us a no drop harm spell. I think that'll be the best way forward. You know, you're not buffing mages power directly, but you're giving them more versatility. Endurance, nothing needs to be said here. Charisma, oh, a lot of tavern folk agree with the change. The non-tavern folk, some like the ferocious strike idea, but for the reasons that I've already explained earlier, I do not like it. Okay, it's non-guaranteed, and you know, I am not going to base my expectations of items that have not even been created or have been conceptualized. So this is huge, a huge nerf to Charisma. Beastmasters all over are going to riot if you do not soften this blow, and Ferocious Strike is not enough to soften the blow. In fact, it does almost nothing for a fully offensive build. Okay, luck. I think everybody agrees that the increment to 10% if you have full luck chain is useless. Everyone agrees that, you know, you just use auto hit in that case. So I think this needs a complete change as well. Alright, and if you look through the comments here, yeah, we have some other ideas from other people. Most of them interesting ideas. I wouldn't really say they are good or they're bad, but yeah, interesting ideas, and I think the staff can consider those as well. I think that's basically it for now. Alright, so yeah, I think that's basically it for now. However, if you want to look at the original stat revamp discussion, it's inside of this post here that has now been locked, okay? So you can no longer comment on this post. So these were the originally proposed ideas, and then everyone started to propose their own ideas as well, myself included. If you look back at this post, you will notice that Tavern's ideas are more than half of the items here, more than half of the ideas here are from Tavern. And the question is why? Why are they getting so many of their ideas implemented when so many of their ideas are facing so much backlash, okay? What is happening to all this feedback, okay? Are the staff even listening to the feedback that's given here? All of this feedback. Staff, are you even listening? Like, some people hate the changes, yet it's implemented. I can tell right off the bat which are Tavern ideas, which are not, okay? So, Warrior Lean, okay, but everybody agrees with this, so it's fine. Dexterity, the Lean, I feel like they took a leaf out of Tavern's book, okay? They took some inspiration. It's not the exact same, but it's somewhat similar. Intellect, this is 100% Tavern's idea, and this is a shit idea. Okay. Charisma, this is 100% Tavern's idea, and again, it's a shit idea, no surprise there. Luck, not really their idea, but I can see that they took some inspiration from it. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Let me see here. Where in the world is it? Pretty sure it's somewhere here. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So in automatically cleanse, instead they turn it to automatically flipping the status, which is better. This is an improvement of Tavern's idea. And this is good, okay? And then you can see they propose automatically dodging. So instead of automatically dodging, we get automatically hitting. So they took inspiration for luck and for dexterity, and they fully used Tavern's ideas for intellect and charisma. Why? Why are so many of their ideas getting implemented when there's so much feedback on how bad their ideas are in this original thread? And even in this new thread over here, a lot of people, they don't like these ideas. In fact, the most problematic changes are the ideas that are suggested from them. I don't think anybody likes this, except for the people who proposed it themselves. Charisma, some people are fine with it. Some people hate it, like myself. Luck, this is bad. Like, come on. Dexterity, it's horrible. Like, what about all the other ideas proposed by everyone else, you know? So many other ideas, not just from me, okay? Don't just, you know, look at my ideas because I'm the one complaining here. What about all the other ideas suggested by everyone else? You know, some people are part of my Discord, some people are not, but okay, actually they all are, but yeah, look at all of these other ideas that you have here. All of the feedback towards Tavern's ideas. Why is all of this being ignored? Guys, there is clear favoritism at play here. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. I don't hate the ideas because it's from Tavern. I hate the ideas because they are shitty ideas. They are bad ideas. Okay, if they were capable enough to come up with good ideas, then sure, you know, I would welcome the ideas with open hands. But the ideas that they are giving, they are bad ideas, and it's done on purpose. I tell you guys, it is done on purpose. Tavern, they do not like this free power increase. That's why they're giving all these shitty ideas where you think it's good, but it's actually not. Because it's all part of their agenda to not make full use of this 20% free power that we are given to by the staff. Okay, and why do I say that? Just look at this post over here. This tells me everything. This tells you all everything that you need to know about their agendas for suggesting these ideas. Okay, the more this discussion goes on, the more I am leaning to my own set of conclusions that style bonuses as a concept should not exist. They don't even want this power to begin with. That is why they propose these bad ideas, whereby you're not really getting a buff to player power. You know, it's phrased as a buff, but in reality it's not. And the biggest example, in my opinion, is the mage one. That's not useful at all. Okay? And you can see he goes on to talk about blah blah blah, everything. But to end it off, to my view, style bonuses create far more issues than they help resolve, as things like intellect cannot receive vertical power and horizontal power. And the horizontal power it can get has to be implemented with strict restrictions. Look at this. He is not staff, okay? This guy isn't staff. He is talking like he has some authority, like he is staff, when in actual fact, he should have no power. He should have the equal amount of say as everyone else. But as you guys can tell from the clear favoritism, okay, most of the ideas got implemented, even though they got so much hate, so much pushback from the original thread that happened like almost a year ago. Yet staff conveniently ignored all of the feedback, conveniently ignored all the other alternative ideas that were thrown out. What is going on here? What is going on here? I literally do not understand. Okay? So yeah, that is going to do it, guys. Let me know what you guys think of this spicy little discussion thread down in the comment section below. Are there any things that you would like to be changed? And of course, I highly urge all of you to go ahead and leave your feedback in this thread, okay? This is probably the one and only time to let them know whether you like or hate these changes. And there's not a lot of time left before they start implementing these changes. So if you hate something strongly, please go and say it out now, or you're going to have to live with these changes for the next 10 years, okay? You have a chance once every 10 years. Make good use of this chance to let your voice be heard, whether you're a casual player, a free-to-play, a pay-to-win whale, a hardcore endgame player. Let them know how you feel about these changes, whether you like them or you hate them. I would also love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. So maybe after you're done commenting on the post, go ahead and leave or just copy paste whatever you're posting into the forums down in my comment section below as well. I'll read through all of the comments, of course, and then I'll reply to you and maybe offer some other suggestions. Maybe we could even brainstorm together to come up with better ideas. I do not think that one person can come up with the best ideas possible. So through brainstorming with other people, I also listen to other ideas which I think are really great that I would not have thought of myself. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's long video, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and of course subscribe to this channel if you guys would like to see more of such future content. Till the next time, I'm your host Caravan Gaming. Peace out.